take you out to just south of Jamaica, where you can see a very clear eye forming with this hurricane, right? This has been the situation over the last 24 hours where this storm rapidly intensified over the weekend to now a Category 5 hurricane. This is taking a sharp northward turn, so things are changing a little bit here from that westward turn to now that northward turn, and it's moving very slow at about 3 miles an hour. You can see the targeted area here right into the western side of Jamaica. Here to break down all of the very important details of this storm, we have meteorologist Michaela Smith. Michaela, what can people expect from this hurricane, and how significant is this landfall in Jamaica?
As Taylor has mentioned already, we are talking about Category 5 Hurricane Melissa. You can see the imagery behind me. It is expected to make landfall in Jamaica within the next 24 hours, but it's not the first major hurricane to actually impact Jamaica. Back in 1988, on September 12th, Category 4 Hurricane Gilbert made landfall just to the southwest of Kingston, Jamaica, and then it proceeded to go all the way across the island before it re-entered the Caribbean Sea and later intensified into a Category 5 hurricane. When Gilbert made landfall in Jamaica, it was on September 12th, and the winds were at 130 miles per hour, so just barely into that Category 4 hurricane range. But it continued all the way across the island, and when it exited the west side of the island, the winds were only down to 125 miles per hour, so it was still a major hurricane the entire time it was going across Jamaica. There were 45 deaths recorded in Jamaica from Hurricane Gilbert and near $700 million in damage as the storm moved across the island. Now behind me again, you can see we have Hurricane Melissa set to make landfall within 24 hours. And as Hurricane Gilbert was only a Category 4 hurricane when this made landfall, Category 5 Melissa would be the strongest hurricane that has ever impacted Jamaica. Melissa is currently south of Jamaica, but is expected to make a northern turn this afternoon and then continue to the north before it makes landfall sometime late tonight into the early morning hours on Tuesday. The entire coastline of Jamaica is under hurricane warning. Again, that is for a Category 5 hurricane. There's going to be catastrophic damage across the island, expecting flooding along the coast, especially areas to the east of where the hurricane makes landfall. That's where the greatest storm surge is expected to be impacting areas, along with a lot of flooding because this is going to be a very slow moving system. And then areas up in the mountains could be experiencing landslides from all the water that's about to impact Jamaica. We will obviously continue to bring you updates here at HailTrace as the storm gets closer to making landfall late tonight into early tomorrow morning. And Taylor, I know we've just been watching this over the last several days, and our hearts have just been sinking as this continues to shape up to be the worst scenario possible for Jamaica. And then after that, Cuba, and then the Bahamas, and then even Bermuda. A lot of islands, a lot of nations getting impacted by this major hurricane. So I know we again are thinking about people here at HailTrace, and just know that this is about to be one of those storms that there is a before Melissa and an after Melissa. And it truly is about to be one of those storms that we remember for a very long time. I'll send things back over to Taylor to kind of wrap up talking about the hurricane and then jumping back closer to the U.S. talking about more of our temperatures across the country.
Thank you so much for that very, very informative report there, Michaela. We appreciate that. And as she was mentioning, right now, one of the most significant things with Melissa, in addition to the high wind speeds, is the slow movement of this storm. So Michaela mentioned how slow this is moving. It's an astonishing 3 miles an hour. Now, the average for a strong hurricane to move is right around 12 to 14 miles an hour. It may seem slow, but that 3 miles an hour is extremely slow. Now, what that means is that as this storm approaches Jamaica, its slow movement means that they're going to withstand those winds for a very long time. They're going to get that torrential downpour for a very long time, or longer if that hurricane were to move faster. I do want to go ahead and read you off some of the statements from the National Hurricane Center right here. They're saying, for Jamaica, do not venture out of your safe shelter. Catastrophic and life-threatening flash flooding and numerous landslides are likely today through Tuesday. Catastrophic winds in the Eyewall have the potential to cause total structure failure, especially in higher elevation areas tonight and early Tuesday. This will result in extensive infrastructural damage, long-lasting power and communication outages, and isolated communities. Life-threatening storm surge and damaging waves are expected along the southern coast through today. Again, that is the wording from the National Hurricane Center to those in Jamaica. We have also gotten reports here that many of the resorts in this area have gone on total lockdown. So a very, very intense and scary situation for many people across the island. Now, this storm is going to continue to track up to the north, potentially making landfall one more time before it moves all the way out into the Atlantic, taking aim next for Bermuda. Now, Bermuda has seen several hurricanes around this area this year. This will slowly weaken as it does move into those higher latitudes and slowly weaken from a Cat 5 to 4, 3, 2 out in the Atlantic, and finally a Cat 1 as it moves farther up to the north. A wildly impressive storm here, especially because models originally, when we were watching this form, didn't even expect it to get out of tropical storm force winds. Most models did not even have this as a Cat 1 storm. So to see this Cat 5 now is very, very impressive. One more look at spaghetti models here. You can see that we've got a lot of agreements that this is going to go right into Jamaica, and we've got a lot of these models agreeing on the path of the storm into the Atlantic as well. An update here on where we're at in our hurricane season. We've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 storms here. So we did verify with that hurricane forecast. I think that HailTrace had 12 to 17 named storms for this year. Our average, a normal season, we would see about 14 named storms. 7 of those turning into hurricanes and 3 of those major hurricanes. I think we are officially at 4 major hurricanes this year. Not quite sure about that number, but I think we are above the average. So we've seen several major hurricanes this year. One more reminder is that we could still see a few more named storms as we are nearing the end of hurricane season. It's not over yet, and I think Melissa is a great example of that.